I'm gonna open their waiting room.
Welcome, everybody. So happy to see you all.
Hey everybody, I'm happy to see you too. We're going to take the next couple of minutes and just play some music. And so I encourage you to grab a drum, grab a shaker like Melly's got there, or just whatever you need to make some music and play with us as we get ready for our session. So happy to be here with you all today.
Thank you so much for turning your cameras on too. It's so fun to see everybody. I see that, Mike. We won't be insulted.
Welcome, Ellie, Patty, Ann, Sally,
Sandra,
Ming Ming, Greg, so many people.
Maurice from Japan. Hey, we found a time that you could join us. Yay. Greg Witt, great to see you. Kim, John. Hey, there you are, Greg. Good to see you.
Greg, great to see you. Yeah, long time no see.
Susan Cornwall. Maurice, looks beautiful there. Hi, Susan. Welcome. Bing Bing, welcome. Those of you on your iPhones, welcome. So happy you could join us. Sonia, welcome.
Nice to be here with you all. My name's Jim, and I'll be talking a little bit later, but I would encourage you to grab a drum or a shaker. We're going to play just a little bit more music as we gather here, so please come on in, and we will be doing some drumming during the session. So you might want to have some things that you can play with here too. So nice to see some familiar faces here. Cammy's nice to see you. MJ, hi, nice to see you. Greg, of course, many other folks. Really happy to be here with you all today. And there's the end of the music.
And there's the end. Whoa! Yay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And just so you have a little bit, I'm Mary Kanish, and my co-host is Mike Deaton. And We are so happy to kick off a new season of Music Alive with Jim Boneau. Thank you, Jim. And for a lot of you that may not have joined us in the past, our series has been going now since the pandemic. We started early on in the pandemic, and we started with a focus for seniors. And we were really alarmed and worried about the life, what was happening with seniors and the isolation and shutting everything down. And so we wanted to reach out in the early days to find anybody and everyone of our sort of global community that is working with Alzheimer's, dementia, and seniors, well, elders, to find and deliver ways that people could be engaged and involved in music, in movement, in mindfulness, in rhythm. And so we have a series that's free. It's by donation, and it's all online, and you can watch any of the amazing sessions. And like I said, I think, Mike, how many do we have now? It must be at least 40, 45.
I've lost count, yeah.
And with Arthur, later on, yeah, I know. And the early ones are all dedicated to work with our senior populations, and they're fabulous. And then we decided to open it up to all ages and all populations. And Arthur Hall kicked that one off and kicked the shift off. So now we are really talking about addressing, using the transformative power of music and movement and rhythm to change people's lives and people of all ages. So, Mike, you want to do a quick tech and then I'll do an intro?
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone. How many people are here for the first time? Give us a wave. For the first time at Music Live, or type me in the chat or something like that. A lot of first-time people here tonight. Great to see you.
So happy to have you here.
Yeah. So just a quick reminder with Zoom that you're always in control of your own experience. And much of what that means with Zoom is your view. So we may spotlight Jim later, and that'll switch you into speaker view where you will see mainly just him. But you can always change back to gallery view. And on most devices, that's going to be in the upper right part of your screen. You'll see the word view, and you click there. Or on some devices, you'll swipe to one side or the other to change your view. And then the other thing is renaming yourself. So feel free to rename yourself in the small box where your face is. There are 3 dots in the upper right if you hover your cursor there on most devices, and that's where you will find the rename option. Or you may touch and hold. You may need to touch and hold where your face is on the screen. Those are the easiest ways to do that. And so feel free to rename yourself, and we'd love if you would just type in the chat really quickly where you're joining us from today and say hello. Thanks, Mary.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So Jim Boneau has been someone I admire and adore for decades, actually, Jim. Before I met him personally, I had heard of his what he was doing with Arthur. I've known Arthur for decades, and I saw and heard so much, Jim, about the work that you were doing with him. And I work with Music for People, and I was working with David Darling at the time, and kind of organizing the body of David Darling's work. And I felt the same way. I know Jim was working, Mary and Jim were there doing the same thing with Arthur. And I thought, oh, wow, he's in the same camp. Great. And so I've long admired him and the work that he's done. And following him along, I finally got to meet you. Gosh, I think it was at one of the conferences, right?
Yeah, DCFG, probably in like 2016 or 17, yeah.
And that was the first time I was like, yay, finally in person. Then I had the wonderful and glorious opportunity to step into his first workshop when he was beginning to workshop this book and the work, I think, Jim, that you've now so beautifully developed. And I was so excited to be a part of the pioneering group with you, and so impressed with the way that you codified the work. And for me at the time, and pretty much ever since then, the concept of rumbling, life in the rumble zone. And to me, it was like, I went, oh my God, that's exactly what my life has been always. So the idea that you could move out of rumble and everything shakes loose and we drop somewhere new and it really drives us somewhere. I was so excited by that, Jim. It really has changed my view about how I use rumble in my life and in my work. And I am just so excited to have you here. And I'll just give you the quick overview. I'll give you his lofty words. Jim's an internationally recognized leadership coach, for those of you that don't know him, and facilitator of leadership and organizational development workshops. He has done it all, and remarkably well, Jim. So we are yours.
Well,
So happy to have you.
what a kind introduction, Mary. And I so appreciate your words and appreciate you and what you do for Music for People and all of the work that, again, I heard about you as well through the ethers. You know, we also missed each other one time in Santa Cruz, like a couple of years even before that, right? I was there and then I left and you had got there that afternoon and I was catching a plane. So
That's right. I remember.
yeah. Yeah, so it's nice to
Finally.
be here. Yeah, I know. And nice to meet all of you virtually as well. Again, I know some folks I've met before, some of having the first opportunity to meet here. So thank you for coming and spending a bit of time with me today as we talk about this idea of life in the Rumble Zone. Just a couple of things about me before we get started. My name's Jim. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I live up in just north of Seattle, Washington. I am a professional coach and lead workshops on emotional intelligence and leadership development and all kinds of things in that. And I do a lot of drum circle facilitation. I work with Arthur Hall. I teach a lot of drum circle facilitators. And that's really where my heart is working with other people that are facilitating, that are teaching, that are bringing all of the gifts that you all bring to the populations that you work with. And so I'm glad you're here to feed your own soul for a few hours or an hour, because I know you spend so much time feeding other folks' souls. And before I go into my depth, I just want to give you all a chance, first off, to say hi to each other here. So if everybody would please turn on your microphone and say, hello, community, and let's hear all your voices.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Very nice.
Welcome to all the newbies.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. It's nice to hear you all know that you're out there. I'm going to give you one other opportunity to say just a bit more too. I always like to give you a chance to meet the folks that you're online with just briefly. So Mike's going to send us to a breakout room for just 5 minutes and maybe groups of 3. So small groups in there. So you don't have a lot of time, but here's what I'd just like you to do. Just introduce yourself. Tell the people where you're calling in from and tell the folks what brought you here. Just like you're a regular, you were intrigued, you were happy to see Mary back. What brought you to the session? Those 3 things. And then one other thing I want your group to do. I want your group to come up with a yes or no question that you'd like to ask everybody on the line. All right, so you're going to come back from your breakout room and one of the people in your group is going to type in the chat a yes or no question so that we can ask that to everybody so we can learn just a little bit about everybody that's on the line today. So we're going to do just a little bit of meet and greet before I go any farther. So you're going to go to a breakout. You're going to tell people your name, where you're calling in from, and why you're here. And then your group's going to figure out one yes or no question that you'd like to ask the whole group. Like, have you ever drummed before? That'd probably be a yes for most folks here, but it's that kind of question, yes or no. Everybody understand? If you do, give me a thumbs up. All right, Mike, they're good to go. Are you good to go, Mike?
Yes, you will see an invitation in just a moment. And if you have
Excellent.
issues, I will take care of you. Stay put or come back to the main room.
Just 5 minutes. It's going to be quick. So get that done. Meet your folks. Come on back. Let's learn a little bit more about each other. Let's go.
All right, you should see an invitation on your screen. And if you're just joining us, I may still need to assign you a room. Give me just a moment here. I think I got everybody.
All right, Mike. Shall I go in a room?
Yeah, I'm going to pause recording.
Yep. let me do that too.
That's up
Thank
to
you.
you.
Come up to. All right, welcome back, folks. If you came up with that question, that yes, no question that you want to ask the group, please go to the chat window right now and type that question in. Or if you just want to tell me what it is, you can always just unmute as well. But looks like we've got everybody coming back here. So that was a quick breakout, but what I'm really curious about is like, what are the questions that you want to know from the group? So here's what we're going to do. If you have a question that you want, a yes, no question that you want the answer to, put that in the chat. And then I'm going to ask those questions. And then I'd like everybody to notice that on the toolbar where you can get those fun reactions like the thumbs up or the clap, there's also a green check and a red X. And so we're going to call the green X yes and the red check no. And so we'll just kind of learn a little bit about ourselves as we ask some of these questions. So let's see. So one of the questions I see up here is, have you ever facilitated music with children? So give us an answer there. Is it a yes or a no? And then you kind of look at gallery view and you'll see those who have facilitated with children and those who hadn't. So we got a lot of green checks coming up here, a couple of red X's as well. So looks like many of you have facilitated with children, but a couple of you haven't. That's totally cool. Very good. That's our first question. Here's another question. Is voice your primary instrument? Let's answer that one. Yes or no. Is voice your primary instrument? I'm a no on that one. I got some yeses here, so there are definitely some voice folks here, and then some no's too. I see some no's there as well. So interesting mix of folks, of both singers and non-singers. All right, let's that next question underneath that one is really relevant. Do you like singing with a mask on? Give me the yes or no to that. Do you like singing with the mask on? And I'm gonna be contrary and say no. I don't like singing with the mask on. I know we have somebody here who's teaching in so many different places. So there you go. So a lot of no's here. Yeah, we're all kind of in that. Let's see. Here's a question. Did the corona crisis lead to new ideas and possibilities in relationships to your drum circles? Yes or no? My guess is almost all of us are either going to be like a yes or maybe like a no, because you don't even want to do that or didn't do that during the worst of the pandemic. I've seen a lot of yeses here, so looks like many of us have done that. All right, here's a selfish one for me too, just so we can ask one more. Have you ever been to a facilitator play shop with Jim Boneau or Arthur Hall? And give us a yes or no there. That's a yes for me. One of the things that I spend a lot of time doing, or have often in the past, is teaching drum circle facilitation and leadership and mentoring skills with Arthur Hall. And in fact, he's doing that right now in Scotland without me. This is a 2021 decision for me to not go to Scotland, but to stay here. And while I'm sad that I'm not there, I'm very happy that I'm here with all of you. So thank you for giving me some of those yes, no's, and I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the group here and about the people that you met in breakouts as well. I'm going to shift your screen now so I can show you some of the material that I'll be sharing with you, and we're still going to play some music together, but I'm going to offer both a visual and a auditory experience here. So you want to set up your screen to where you can maybe see me talking and then get a good view of some of these visuals that I'm going to be sharing with you now as we talk about this idea of life in the rumble zone. Why don't you give me a thumbs up if you were seeing the PowerPoint slide and you got yourself set and ready to view things. I'm seeing some thumbs, so we're good there. All right. So yeah, we're going to talk today about life in the rumble zone. Now, the rumble zone, as Mary mentioned, is the name of my book that I published last year during the pandemic. What's to do during a pandemic other than publish a book, right? You know, the reality is I'd been working on the book for many years and had targeted 2020 to publish. And then, of course, the pandemic came in as well. it became one of those times where I had a plan, I knew what I was going to do, and then life threw me a curveball. That, in essence, is this idea of the rumble zone. In life, it happens all the time, right? Like, we know where we are and we know where we want to be. I knew that I was going to write a book, and I knew I wanted to get to that place to write the book. But there's this in between that can happen between where we are and where we want to get to be. And that in between for me was that time of like, am I really going to publish a book during the pandemic? But I'm really familiar with this in between place, because this is often where my clients come to me, is in between, like where they are and where they want to be. They've got some kind of goal for themselves, a job that they want to get to, a project they want to accomplish. And so they're in that in between space. They know where they want to get to, but they're in that in between. Now, that in between space is that space that I call the rumble. How I called it a rumble is what I'd like to share with you right now. And I think the best way to do that is for us to have an experience together. So I'm going to slide back here to get one of my drums, and I would invite you to find a drum or a shaker, something that you want to play that you can find a repeatable pattern on. I'm just going to start a really simple drum pattern here, and I'm going to be repeating a same pattern. And I'm going to invite you to find a pattern that you can repeat with me. 1, 2, here we go. Simple. And I'd like you to find a pattern that lines up with mine and keep playing it. Remember to breathe when I'm playing. And whatever happens, keep your pattern. Keep your pattern going. No matter what happens. You keep your pattern going. Got a new pattern. Four, three, two, one, and stop. All right. Now, what I was wanting to share with you there was that experience physically of having a pattern, having that rumble that kind of threw off the pattern, and then generating a new pattern. For me, this is that place of in between. Need to get someplace, don't know where that is, it feels confusing. Actually, why don't you go to the chat window and tell me, how was it to keep your pattern going whenever I went into that rumble? I'm curious whether you were able to do that, whether it was easy, whether, maybe it felt confusing because you're like, wait a second, he was playing a pattern and now it's all shifted. What did it feel like in between those two patterns for you whenever I was rumbling? We'll see if we get some of those statements in the chat window right now. Looks like they're starting to come in right there. Confused, it threw you off, fell apart for a little bit, had to keep a sense of humor. Yeah, I like that, Mary, certainly. I've done this rumble pattern with folks all over, and what they tell me is, it's awkward and frustrating and chaotic, challenging, but maybe also hopeful and maybe even a bit exciting. Now, that was your experience just in the drumming of the rumble and in that in-between space. Think about whenever you get to a change that you're trying to make in your life. surviving the pandemic, adjusting your drum circles, pursuing a new career goal, having a relationship shift in some way, dealing with a cancer diagnosis. I mean, there are so many circumstances in life that get us to this ability or the need to really break an old pattern, go through some kind of rumble experience, and then out of that, step into a new pathway. Now, that new pathway could be health. That new pathway could be a new job. It could be what you're pursuing. But for me, and most of the clients that I work with, they need support in the rumble, in that middle place, that confusing place, that awkward place, that place that a lot of times we just want to give up and think, well, this isn't going to work. I'll just go back to the old way. I'll go back to the old pattern. But the reality is that rumble place is the place where anything is possible, where so much of our human potential can get tapped into. And that's what really excited me about this middle spot, is the potential that's also available inside of the rumble. You know, I'm facilitating for Harvard University on a project that they've been doing, an 80-year study, really 100-year study of a group of men and their families now, that includes women and other people, in terms of like what makes a happy life. Now, there's a whole set of research around that, but the three keys of this longitudinal study that they realize is what makes a happy life is if we're pursuing our passions, if we have good relationships, and this is the important point, if we know how to get through transitions, if we know how to navigate the rumble. So it was such a powerful place for me. It leads us to happiness. It taps into our potential. And quite frankly, I'm all about this idea of human potential. I like this statement here. Human potential, though not always apparent, is there, waiting to be discovered and invited forth. You know, that's what really happened for me when I saw this model. I was like, oh, I think this is a good idea. And actually, I think I can start to organize this in a completely different way, where my brain started to really get into this. And I started to create different slides and models, and I had to talk faster to get many other things done. And the rumble got louder and louder, and I didn't know what I needed to do to get people to this point. And it became a little bit overwhelming. That's what happens in the rumble for me. I get so excited, my brain gets going so fast, the rumble starts to just take over my mind. And that's what happened to me when I got into this idea of human potential. I started to create all of these slides and write all of these papers and do all of this stuff with my mind, thinking this is how I was going to tap into my own potential inside of the rumble zone. And I was talking to a colleague, and she was having one of those days, right? Turns out it was a day just like mine. She was having a day of being really sad about her own untapped potential. She thought she had untapped potential about what she could do in the world and what she could create in the world. And as I was listening to her and I could hear myself talking as she was talking, it became very clear to me that I needed to ask her this. What if our untapped human potential is just to be? Not needing to do anything, not needing to go anywhere, not needing to create any PowerPoint, not needing to come up with a new product, but just to be. This blew my mind, that I could actually live into my potential as a human being just by being a human being. For me, this kind of stopped me in my tracks in a good way, because I was like, yeah, I think I'm so busy trying to do so many things to get through the rumble, to get to the other side where I think I need to be. Maybe I just need to be in the rumble. So this became my new passion. How can I just be and think about how that is living into my potential? Now, it wasn't as easy for me as I thought it would be just to be. I had to kind of think about, well, where did I learn how to just be? And you know where I learned how to just be? Was leading a drum circle. You know, I had the same experience in a drum circle. I think you got to go in there, you got to do all these techniques, I got to make all these things happen, I got to have my radar, I got to listen to that, I got to do this. But when I got through all of that noise in my head and realized what I needed to go into to do was just be in the middle of the circle, to listen to the people, to smile at them, and trust that when I'm there being present, being, we can get to that other side together. So I decided to kind of take this idea to the next level. So I had my mind and I had all that rumble that was going on in my head, but what else did I need to check in with to help me just be in this moment? And that's what I want to share with you all and have us just be together as a way to fulfill our untapped potential. And we're going to do that by considering what is going on in our minds, in the rumble inside of our brains. What about in our physical bodies? How does it feel in your physical body just to be present? Spirit. For me, checking in with and understanding where my spirit is, where my core belief is. I know that's going to help me just be, and in that, help me get to the other side. I need to check in with my emotional self. Like, how am I feeling? Was there joy? Was there frustration? And then finally, I needed to check in with my relational self. Like, how am I relating to other people? For me, this was the essence of me understanding what it was like for me to just be. What is it like to be in my mind, in my body, in my spirit, with my emotions, and with my relationships? And in that, tap into my potential as a human being. So what I'd like to do now with you is just share some of the rhythm meditations and the rhythm experiences that have helped me look at each of these elements of myself so that I can be a more potentially fulfilled human in this particular moment. Now, before I move any farther here, just kind of want to see, like, use your emoji and your reactions. Like, if you're with me, give me a thumbs up. If you're thinking, I'm not necessarily here, Jim, I have some questions, give me a thumbs down. Like, I'm really curious. Where is your spirit after thinking about you fulfilling your untapped potential as a human just by being? And I'm seeing some nice thumbs up and some hearts coming in here as well. So I'm appreciating that. You know, when I think about just being, I love this image, and we're going to come back to it a little bit later, but through all of our rhythm activities here, what my hope is that you can be with them, be in this, as we give some space for your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotion, and your relational self to be with this group today. You know, I started the session today and we went through that rumble activity and we did some rumblings together, because the rumble is really representing what's happening in my mind. This icon right here, this picture of the mind, is that busyness that happens in our brains. And I don't know if you identify that, but boy, my brain can get to running. It can start making up stories about people. It can make up stories about what's happening on the end of this Zoom. It can make up stories about everything that's happening around me. And it's kind of like a rumble that's happening in my brain. Is that something that anybody is familiar with? Again, give me a thumbs up emoji if that rumble in your brain and that stories that go, yeah, I'm seeing some thumbs up that come here as well. So you all get that one. Now, what I would invite us to consider here when we think about that rumble inside of our brain, what's really happening is this. My mind is actually a rumble of miraculous neural pathways that are creating endless possibilities. I mean, this mind of mine, while it's running and doing all the things that it's doing, while it's rumbling around, there's a lot of work happening in there that's keeping me young, that's coming up with new ideas, that's being innovative. And so even if I'm just being, and I have all of those stories running around in my head, my job is just to let those stories run, to not get tied up in them because they're just stories. I can be in the silence of the rumble. And so that's how I relate to my mind just being, is to accept that all of those thoughts and stories in my head are just a rumble that are getting me to where I want to go. All right, the second aspect that I really consider when I think about how do we just be in the rumble zone, well, it's our bodies. I mean, like, we need to care for it, to take care of our physical bodies. Now, in the drum circle, where I really learned and connected with this idea of our physical bodies is thinking about the heartbeat. I'm going to invite each of you to find your hand, place it on your heart. Just start doing a simple heartbeat. Feel your body. What does it feel like to bring that attention to your heart? Take a deep breath. Give your body that oxygen that it needs, that your heart needs, to send that oxygen through your veins. Bring that oxygen to all those parts of your body. That miraculous, wonderful body that you have. It's taking care of you. It's helping you be in this moment. I learned that in a drum circle. I didn't really have a relationship with my physical body, understanding my heart, until I found my way into the drum circle and shared this heartbeat with everybody else. Think about how your body is serving you right now. How is it helping you be in this moment? Yeah, that was another lesson that I learned about being in the drum circle, is to really just feel my heart and to recognize I'm sharing that heartbeat with all of you and the hearts that you all have. You know, I think it back again to being in the moment with my physical body. Just remember that my body has a heart and it's beating tirelessly to keep me alive. And to be with my heart and to be with that heartbeat helps me tap into my untapped potential as a human. That's our mind, that's our body. Let's think a little bit about spirit. Now, spirit, I know, can be defined in so many ways, and whether it's spiritual belief that you have in a God, if it's a spiritual belief that you have with nature and with Mother Earth, if it's a spiritual belief that you have in terms of just your own soul and knowing yourself, I think that spirit and being go hand in hand. Drum circles taught me about spirit, because in a drum circle, just like with spirit, the pulse is always present. If I play a song for you right now, let's see if we can play something here. about the pulse, just like spirit, it's always there in the drum circle. We're always listening for who's got the pulse. Where can we find the pulse? Doesn't matter where the one is, right? Maybe everybody has a different one, but we're sharing the pulse. And for me, the pulse is just like my spirit. It's a constant presence. Spirit is a steady pulse that's reminding me the way. Look, spirit helps me connect to something greater than myself. The pulse is greater than us in the drum circle. It's there all the time. And if we can accept the pulse, if we accept spirit and just be in that, I believe we're tapping into our potential as human beings. I'm going to keep making this journey here. We talked about mind, body, spirit, and now we think about emotion. And I'm showing you on the screen here one of the many models that people have in terms of describing the different emotions that we have as human beings. I think emotion in the drum circle and in music is so present for me. I mean, so many of us, right? You hear a song from growing up and you think, oh, yeah, that feels really good. I can remember the joy. Maybe it was the first kiss or the first time you held hands with a new date. Or maybe you hear a song and it brings sadness. Maybe a song that was played at your mother's funeral. That happens for me with a very specific song that causes me to feel that sense of sadness. But I have to give myself space to feel these feelings. And again, that reminds me of the drum circle. It's not constant music. It's not constant rhythm. There's space. And that space is something I need to give to myself, to feel the emotion in the moment, and to recognize that part of being as a human being, part of living into my own untapped human potential is feeling my feelings, recognizing others have emotions, and know that these emotions are giving me important information about the world, about what's happening around me. They don't define me, but they are giving me information and helping me be in the moment. That's the note I have here, is just this remembering of, sometimes when we're afraid to give space to our emotion because we think that they're going to overwhelm us. But our emotions aren't who we are. They don't define us. They're just giving us that information. And for me, again, to be and to step into my own potential is to really understand my emotions. So we talked mind, we talk body, we talk spirit, we talk emotion. And the last thing that I look at when I think about how do I tap into my potential as a human being, even just being, is really understanding this idea of how do I relate to the world around me? How do I relate to people in the world around me? How do we relate to each other? In the drum circle, certainly, we know how important this idea of relating and connecting is in the drum circle. And we can share that experience even right now together if we think about a call and response. So let's say I play, you play. And in fact, to do this, I'm going to stop this share so that we can all look at each other. So we can have some I play, you play, and actually have relationship with these people that we're seeing. So let's try this. Let's take a real risk, and let's all, if you're in a place where you can be quiet, let's unmute and see what happens when we try to do a dialogue in this environment with a call and response. So everybody unmute. I'm out here trying something crazy. Here we go. So how do we relate to each other? Thank you for that. You can turn off your microphones again. how do we relate to each other in this complex world where we're trying to communicate virtually? Uh, for me, again, if I think about just being and how can I be with others in my relationship, well, it's about being present with them. It's about focusing on my communication skills. It's about sharing my intention. It's about letting others know what I'm hearing from them and then getting curious about that. That's how I want to relate to the people in my world, so that we're able to connect deeper and deeper and deeper and in more meaningful ways. And sometimes it is just being. It is just sharing that quiet car ride with somebody who you love, who you don't need to say any other words with. You know that we can just share this car ride together. And in that, we're tapping into our potential as humans to share that space and relate to one another. For me, again, when I kind of was working so hard with my mind to create all of this content so I could talk about all of these big ideas of human potential, it just became so clear to me that if I'm only using my mind, I'm only getting a fifth of the story. And to really be me is to bring my body, my mind, my spirit, my emotions, and my relationships, and know that in that I can be with others in the rumble to get to the other side. And for me, it's caused something different to happen in my life. I find I've got this smile and this sense of peace that I haven't had in a while, because I was so focused on meeting my potential and doing all the things that needed to happen. And yet, really, my untapped potential was just being. It was just managing the rumble in my brain, feeling my heart, knowing that continual pulse of spirit is all around me, just there, waiting for me to tap into. It's honoring the fact that as a human, I do have emotions. And yes, they are going to come up. But I don't need to fix them. I don't need to push them down. I certainly don't need to fix the emotions of others. I can just be with them. And in that, be able to relate in a way that I can share my sense of being with another person. Life in the rumble zone looks so much simpler now than it did 4 months ago for me, because this is where I want to spend my time in the rumble zone, is just being with my friends, with my colleagues, with my partner, and with myself, and giving myself the great gift of being with me. You know, if I think about how I relate to folks, I think that I'm in continuous dialogue with the world around me. I want to improve the quality of my conversations. I want to improve the quality of my relationships so that I can be with others in this rumble zone. Now, these 5 big ideas, again, are what I'm looking at when I think about how I am tapping into my untapped potential, ensuring that I'm bringing my mind, my body, my spirit, my emotion, and my ability to relate to others with me. And what I'm curious is, how would you answer this question? What if reaching your peak human potential means that you just need to be right here and right now? And that's actually what I'm going to invite you to think about and to maybe have some conversation with a few folks in your breakouts. Mike, I'd like to move folks to the breakouts here in shortly. And again, I'm not going to give you much direction here. I've talked a lot and I've shared a lot of my views around the rumble zone and how these 5 lenses help me just be in the rumble zone. So as we go to breakout rooms, and again, I have this question on the screen: what if this were true for you, that reaching your peak human potential means that you just need to be right here and right now? How does that fit for you in your life and what's happening for you today? I'm going to give you the opportunity now to Mike, if you're ready for that, to give people an opportunity to head back over to the breakouts. We'll just take about 6 minutes over there in the breakout. We'll come back. We'll do just a little Q&A, and then we'll be done. But I planted that question, suggestion. Talk about what you want, but I'm curious what came up for you in this exploration of the Rumble Zone. Mike?
Great. So we're going to go till probably about 10 after, everyone, if you're able to stick around. And I saw at least one person who just joined us. So just join in the conversation and say hello for now. And you should see an invitation on your screen to a breakout room, or it may take me a moment to assign you. Let me know if you need anything. If anybody here is not seeing the invitation, let me know. Great, welcome back.
Got everybody back here. Welcome back. Had a nice little chat with Kim and Ann in my breakout room. And so I hope you all had some good time in your breakouts as well. Love to hear how did this resonate with you? What was it like to just be in the Rumble Zone? We have a few minutes here. So if anybody has a question or a comment or insight, I would love it if you would just unmute your microphone and share with us.
I'll just say,
sorry.
There we go.
Go, MJ.
Okay. Yeah, one thing that really dawned on me when we were talking in my group too is that giving the permission to be able to being able to look and see and feel the rumble from a different point of view, a different perspective, and not be so attached to the rumble and be like, oh, wow, I can step into this other place and observe the rumble happening. But then I was asking the people in my group, what is that place that is able to watch? It's not the rumble itself, it's somewhere else. So I like the permission, like in the realizing that you can have that.
Just be in it. Yeah, just be in it. Yeah. Thank you.
From a different vantage point, not in the rumble, but outside watching the rumble, go, oh yeah, that's happening.
Yeah. Well, you could, there's so many aspects that we can look at it other than with being in it, right? Our spirit having that, all those different places, those different perspectives. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
A note about that. I was just reading this morning about appreciating. If you appreciate even the good and the bad and the rumbles and the smooth areas, just for what they are, you're from a standpoint of all accepting kind of thing, and then it gives you a space to breathe, and then your heart center is open. So it's for women who give birth, for example, because I'm a mom. When you're going through that labor, you're just like, stop the universe. Okay, this is it. This is the biggest, this is the rumble of, and but then you start letting go and realizing that something's going to crack open with that, and then a baby comes. But it's like that with transitions in life, appreciating them, and then often it gives you a lot of empathy and compassion for other people who are even in more difficult situations. But not lacking the appreciation is, I think, a lot of the anxiety in that we're having. Yeah.
I love what you're saying, and especially that idea of like getting to that place of empathy, recognizing that the rumble that I'm going through, actually everybody around me is going through their own rumble. It's not mine, it's theirs. but to
The
be able to,
human.
yeah, the humanity, exactly, that we both
Yeah,
have to be sitting within that, and then just being with it. It's not like I have to make mine go away or make yours go away. Can we just
yeah,
be with each other in the rumble? Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you
Trusting
for
that.
that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm
And
so
I think,
appreciating
Jim,
that.
we have time for one more. I saw Ange open his mic at some point.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to share. Of course, I met with John and Teo, and we have three very different lives and lifestyles. And what I found myself doing after listening um, was suggesting, this subject of being enough and right here and now and this moment, all of that seems to have been coming up in the last 3 to 4 years in my life through my readings and my studies, etc. So I just went out on a limb and recommended they pick up Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now and have their lives transformed, and they can send me, $1,000 later in thanks and gratitude. I would send much more, but they
Well,
were
that's a
very, very patient with me.
it's it's a good book to help us get connected to the here and now for sure. So no doubt about that. I tell you, I know we're kind of running up on the about to be the close time. I want to share one other piece of information with you all here, and something that's actually very exciting for me and pretty new here for me actually. So in my book, I go through all these strategies, right, around the what it means to be in the rumble zone. And just today, you all are the first people to hear this, but I am launching an online course that goes along as a companion piece to my book. And you can see there, it's going to be on the platform called Thinkific. So very at the bottom of the screen, rumble.thinkific.com will take you to the online course. It's $47 if you want to take the course. There's also a free webinar there that you could take as well. That'll give you a little bit more information. But in the full course, I've got more drumming activities that I'll talk you through. I've also got conversations or video pieces on each of the different strategies and how they support me in the rumble zone and how they can support you in the rumble zone as well. But it's kind of a bit of a labor of love here, putting the book together. And I certainly have to thank John Pritchard, who created the movie We Need to Drum, or You Need to Drum, because he's the one that helped me put this course together as well. But I'll be putting this out on Facebook and some other mediums, but I'm really excited to share with you all. You're the first people that I've told that there's actually an online companion course now available with my book. And I'm very happy to announce that here with Mary and Mike and all the things that you're doing for Music Alive, because we're going to keep music alive, Mary, in all the different forms that we have. But really happy to share this with you all today.
Count me in. That's awesome. I am so excited, Jim. Wow. Thank you so much for such a beautiful presentation. As always, it's lovely if you can write in the chat bar your biggest takeaway. There's always an aha moment on these sessions, and we love to collect them. And so Jim knows what you walk away with, what you leave with. What's your biggest aha and gift here? So you can pop that in the chat bar. And it's just so much fun to see what is emergent from the wisdom of our community. And Jim, it's so great to see what resonates. I'm always so curious to see what resonates with folks because it's different for everyone.
Yeah, for me too, Mary. I tell you, like really, this is the first group that I've shared this whole idea of like, what if tapping into my untapped potential is just being?
Yes.
So I'm hoping it could learn whether that resonated with folks or not. Yeah.
I'll tell you because I'm not writing. For me, I am absolutely there, and I have been for the last 2 years been asking that question, particularly since pulled off the road and traveling. It's like, oh, what is it really all about?
Yeah.
So it's a beautifully articulated, Jim, and for me, it was exactly what I had needed to hear tonight. So thank you.
No, that means the world to me, Mary. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank you
sharing
so
that,
much.
and I'm enjoying reading the comments as well in the chat. So just really thank you all for making the time to come out and spend some time with your friends and Mary and Mike and me as we, again, keep music alive by talking about the Rumble.
And we have just a few notes and then you can unmute and say goodbye and thank you to Jim in person before you leave tonight. Music for People is the organization that I've worked for 30 years and it's quite stunning. And this is a program that's run by donations only, Music Alive. And so, Mike, if you can put it in the chat bar, there's a link if you'd like to support our Music Alive program. We appreciate any and all support. And Music for People is actually having an in-person weekend, which is music improvisation. You can read more about it on our website. And it is October 15th through 17th in New York State, Hyde Park, I think, New York. Yes. So if you're interested, please let us know and we'll fill you in more. It's our first venture in again with people, and we will use safety protocols with COVID. But we're very excited, and it's a beautiful new spot and location for the weekend. So if you're interested for one day or more, let me know. Okay, Mike, you want to announce who's coming up?
Yeah, do you want to mention Lucas?
Yes.
Okay, so
You go ahead.
Janelle Burdell will be our next guest 2 weeks from tonight. It's going to be back to our normal time of 4 p.m. Eastern, but we're going to be doing this for the next little while. Every other Wednesday, one will be at 4 p.m., one will be at 7 p.m. So to make it more accessible to more people. So I'm super excited that Janelle Burdell will be our next guest in 2 weeks. And she is a masterful musician and facilitator. She's performed with people like Herbie Hancock. She has performed on Broadway as part of Little Shop of Horrors and Beauty and the Beast. She was a programmer for the Grateful Dead. If you know anything about Mickey Hart and his elaborate digital soundscapes and all that sort of thing, she's one of the people who helped him program that for many years now. So she's also doing rock camps these days with teen girls. So the Udu is her main instrument these days. So Udu Girl herself will be joining us in 2 weeks. Please join us if you're able. And
And
I'll let
in
you
a month,
mention, yeah.
I'll do Lucas, then you take it. In a month, then we will have at 7. We're back to 7 p.m. We'll have Lucas Coffee, and if you do not know him, he is amazing. A drum circle facilitator from Alberta, Canada, and he will be featuring movement, using movement in the drum circle, and he has just got some amazing activities that he does and strategies. So we'll hope you'll join us for that. And Mike.
And finally, we're going to be offering a training, Mary and I together. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so it's a luxurious 2.5-hour session that's, what we really wish every week with you could be. So learning activities that you can use with any group. It's called Move and Groove Your Group. And it's all about music and wellness. So modules that you can use in any number of different settings, online or in person. And so there's a link that will be going live tomorrow. Tickets are not available yet, but that'll be going live tomorrow.
And Jim, you popped in all your info. We want to make sure we get that in there. Is everything in there, Jim? Is there anything else?
Yeah,
Resources?
I think it's all in there. Yeah, the links to the course and to my website, and I included my email as well. So anybody just wants to follow up with a personal note, I'm here for that too. So yeah, thank you, Mary.
So Jim Boneau is always great for a deep dive. I've never seen him present when he didn't exceed my expectations. If you would please open your mics, give him
Oh,
some
yes.
love.
Yay!
Thank you.
Many thanks. Many
Yay!
thanks.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jimbo.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much, Jim.
See
And I'm
you.
so excited there's going to be more offerings. Good for you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be with you all. I look forward to hearing from you.
All right. We look forward to seeing you all again in 2 weeks at 4 p.m. Eastern.
And thanks, Mary and Mike.
You are very welcome. Thanks for
Thank
seeing all
you.
of our regulars again. Yay!
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thanks,
Good,
everybody.
everyone.
Have a great day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Middle of the night, some of you.
Most definitely.
Everyone.